start with a word of prayer. So please let us bow our heads before our Father in heaven and let us pray. Gracious, loving Father, please be with us as we enter into your word. Give us understandings of the truth and fill us with a sense of dread for what is coming up on the face of the earth, that we may seek you and get prepared before it is too late. These mercies we ask of you, Father, and thank you for hearing us and blessing us. Amen. As we see the name of our topic, Christian, prepare for what horrible destruction is coming. Now, why would anyone want to say that? Why would we want to say to you to prepare for what horrible destruction is coming? Because this is the last Sabbath in 2018. And in 2019, the destructions that are taking place on the earth will be worse and worse and closer and closer. Just this week, Venezuela received an earthquake, a shallow one, that threw down houses and church buildings and cracked the place out. That was just this week that passed. But not just only that, 2 earthquakes struck Indonesia. But not just only that, a tsunami struck them, and we will show you video footage of it here. A tsunami struck them while this was going on, and suddenly different parts of the earth started to get giant tidal waves rushing into shore and filling the land with seawater, not water from rain. All kind of strange things are suddenly happening, but destruction is getting worse and worse and worse. The Philippines last night got an undersea earthquake, and they have already watched out for tsunami heading towards Philippines and all over Indonesia since it's close by. So it seems a lot of destruction is taking place, and terrible things are going to happen in 2019. But you and I need to have the right attitude for what is coming. You are not to think because we live in Trinidad and Tobago and we may live in an area of peace, it's going to last that way for us. Retribution is coming right through the earth, and deaths are going to be taking place until Jesus comes. But you want to make sure that you are ready, don't you? And this is the reason why we need to prepare. We need to prepare for what horrible destruction is coming. But we want to look at what the Bible and Spirit of Prophecy says about this. That's what we want to do today. So we need to recognize that what will bring about the end is something called a Sunday law. A global Sunday law. Why? Because it is Lucifer's last effort to exalt himself to be God with God, using a holy day. It is Lucifer's last effort. Once a global Sunday law comes, we know for sure that the end is near. But you must remember, socialist Europe will not enforce a Sunday law. A socialist pope that is already tearing down the institutions of the Catholic Church. The latest thing they started teaching is a thing we know to be true, but it is against Catholic doctrine. Remember, the Catholic Church tells us that Mary did not inherit what they call original sin. To them, Mary had what they call sinless human flesh, or sin-free human flesh. That's what they claim Mary had to produce the flesh of Jesus. Well, now the Pope spoke against that and identified that Mary had to struggle to become a saint. And one of these men came and claimed that Mary did not have we call sinless human flesh, whatever they mean by that, but had flesh like all of us. It created a storm in the Catholic Church. But you must remember, it is not the Catholic Church reforming for good. It is a communist pope tearing down the institutions of the Catholic Church. But before any evangelical in America points to the Pope in Rome, they're not going to point to a Pope who is justifying sodomy and who's tearing down all the institutions of freedom. They will not point to that. So the Pope you're seeing here must go. So for 2019, we must look and see what is going to happen. The day you see this Pope goes and a new Pope, more on the right side, a right-wing Pope elected, then that is it. Now you will see trouble coming. Now you will see the miracles going to take place. Yes, my dear.
But it is the tradition that the Pope should function until they die?
Not anymore. Because you know what happened the last time, who resigned for him to get elected, for Francis to be elected. You know that. Benedict XVI resigned. Right? So you don't have to stay there forever until he dies. And by the way, sudden deaths that happen here, people usually get, strong people get heart attack, and then you can't find any trace of any chemicals in the body. So anything can happen. But here's the point. The point is the end is coming and changes are taking place. Europe is beginning to swing to the right because a socialist EU will not accept a Sunday law. And as I speak here to you today, the French Central Bank is currently burning down. With the yellow vest revolting. And not just only that, yesterday, they almost broke through and take down, if I were to put it this way, the president of France in his summer home, in his holiday home. 40 of them almost got in. So it's trouble happening. If a country so socialist, so much to the left, is turning to what? The right. It means to say we are prepared for what? A Sunday law. But the society is becoming cultured to face it. Somebody here on the house.
Right? Is saying that Mary did not have full flesh. It means to say the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception. Everything will have to go until
everything will have to be overtaken, including the idea of Jesus Christ. And that's what that Pope is seeking to destroy. He has also made up his mind, he's going to change the Our Father prayer that they pray. So now he is presenting new principles to change it. So don't be fooled by what you are seeing. Don't be fooled like a traditional Adventist. Traditional Adventists always moving towards the left. Like if they are socialist Adventists. We are neither to be on the left, not to follow what the evangelicals will be, to follow the straight path. What do you say? But you must remember, Europe is already swinging to the left. We will show you some films here to show you what is going on. We'd like you to know how late time is. And for you to understand, strange things are happening. Suddenly, strange phenomena is being seen in the sky. A token of the power of miracle-working demons. Flashing lights in the sky that are supernatural. The whole countries are seeing. All this is signs in the heavens above. And there are many signs in the earth beneath. And these signs show you that your time is late. Whatever sinful trait you have, sinful attitude you have, or sinful pursuit you have, it's time to drop it. It's time to give it up. And that's why we are encouraging you today to learn the truth and to prepare for your redemption drawing nigh. But we want to look at what kind of redemption do you get. What kind of redemption do you get when Christ is coming? Is it salvation from sin? Or you're supposed to be free from sin already to face his coming? So we want to look at what kind of redemption you are to get in the light of what is to happen. Now, we are in a period called the little time of trouble. This is happening now, today. But this little time of trouble leads to the greater time of trouble, which is the what? Seven final plagues. And with the seven final plagues, what will happen? The earth will be destroyed. So, this would mean that the little time of trouble is a symbol of the greater time of trouble, at which the earth will end. This also means that the little time of trouble is a warning for us to prepare. Because when the greater time of trouble, the seven final plagues come, nobody will be able to be prepared then. We'll have to be prepared before. Is that understood? So we are in the last chance we have to prepare for the end. Let this be known to all of you all here. You may not be familiar with these things in the Bible, but when you go through the Bible over and over and you get familiar with scripture, you understand what is going on. Let me repeat again. We are in a very last time we have to prepare. But the human heart is so hard and so vindictive that it is difficult for many just to drop certain wrongs, correct the wrong by seeking the right. Let God change you. Let him convert you. Let him justify you. Let him make you righteous to prepare you for the end, which is swiftly coming. How much times we must say this? We have said this so much times on television that I often meet a lot of people out there who is telling me either run for my life, as some of them say, or some of them say prepare for the end. I had a little child come from school in the supermarket and told me justification. What does the child even know about that? But they heard it and they came and they told me justification. They must be justified. So here you have a child in the world telling you are Christian that in the supermarket. So it's getting to them. They're being reached. And if they're being reached, you too need to make sure you are ready for the end. The things we say are not hard for anyone. It is simple for anyone to understand. We have placed things in such a way to make it simple for all of us to understand. You need to study these truths. They will keep you alive in Christ Jesus. They will cause you to cause many to be saved. The very book you have first on justification, some of the teachings there were responsible for people right here being converted. And we can use them to cause others to be converted. What do you say, brother? And this is the reason why we ask of you to get your copies. God is helping us organize for the end. And if we are organizing for the end, you need to personally get yourself prepared for the end. Is that understood, my dear brothers? So let's turn to Luke 21, 25 to 26, where we will look at the little time of trouble identified here by Jesus. Luke 21, 25 and 26 identifies the little time of trouble. Luke 21. it found? Luke 21, 25, 26. Let's look at it. We read. And there shall be signs in the sun. And where? In the moon. And where? In the stars. And upon the earth what? The stress of nations with what? Perplexity. What else? The sea and the waves roaring. And what else? Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For what will happen? This is telling us of terrible dynamic destruction taking place upon the earth before Jesus comes. So since Jesus comes after the 7 final plagues, what we are reading here must take place before the coming of Christ, which means it must take place even before the 7 final plagues begin to fall, which means it must take place during the little time of trouble. These things prophesied here are to take place during the little time of trouble. And this is what you and I are seeing now. Just recently, something happened. Scientists looking at the moon have found that the moon changed. They found that the moon changed. So that the side of the moon we used to see all the time in the night, it is not the same side exactly that you are seeing now. Something happened that changes on its orbit. The Bible already tells us signs in the moon. And they were able to photograph a huge black presence crossing the moon. Nobody knows what it is. It could probably be a huge rock. But just 2 weeks ago, a huge dark matter passed over the moon, crossed the path of the moon. And this has people wondering what is going on. You see, the signs will get more and more big. You and I know that huge chunks of rocks will fall on the earth and will cause places to catch a fire. Indeed, 2 weeks ago, in the northernmost base in Greenland, the American soldiers there on that American base thought that somebody attacked them by dropping a bomb close by. It was so terrible, it destroyed some of their buildings. Only to find out it was a huge chunk of rock that exploded just before it reached them. Had it landed and reached them, many of them would have died. But we are getting many signs from God. And these signs show us that the end is coming and it is close at the doors. Even so much that something terrible happened under the earth. For about 3 years, they were hearing big trumpet sounds in the sky. Some of them we played to you. Those trumpet sounds related to something taking place in the earth. Then they started to hear big explosions and glass breaking and a whole set of things taking place, cars shaking. Nobody was able to explain what had happened. Now suddenly scientists have found that below the sea, the earth has cracked up and that the continents are like floating on lava. These are not tectonic plates we're talking about. We're talking about terrible things that have happened already. That the earth is very fragile. You have 91 volcanoes. 91 volcanoes all erupting under the ice in the Antarctic, causing the ice to melt, but they tell you global warming. That's what they tell you, global warming, to fool our head. Everything is global warming and climate change. But they won't tell you this is what's going on here. And then they have found out that a large amount of the ocean is sinking in cracks under the sea. That's what they found out. A large amount of the ocean is going through cracks under the sea. That's why lakes and rivers are disappearing in different parts of the earth. That's the reason why so much sinkholes are opening all over the earth. Brethren, we want you to know that all this that is happening into the little time of trouble is merely a warning from God to us that the greater time of trouble is soon to come. Is that understood, my dear brethren? Let us see this greater time of trouble. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1, first of all. Daniel chapter 12 verse 1. Let's tie some scriptures together. Daniel chapter 12 verse 1. Is it found? We read. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was, since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be what? Found. Written where? That shall be what? Found. Written in the book. So you better make your calling and selection sure. Amen, brethren? So we are told Michael stands up. In the Bible, that stand up is finishing doing something. They sit down doing something, you finish, you stand up. And then they told the great prince, withstand it for the children of thy people. Standing for someone is different than standing up. Standing for someone means you're defending that one, that person. So Michael the prince finishes some defense of the church. And as he finishes that work of defending the church by righteousness, what happens? The time of trouble comes. Is that understood, my dear brethren? The time of what? Trouble comes. Such as was not since there was a nation upon the earth. And during that time of trouble, which is the seven what? Final plagues, God's people are delivered from the great purge. They didn't hear me. God's people are delivered from the great global purge. All this the Bible shows us is going to happen. So you might as well learn it now. But what is this time of trouble? How do you know what that time of trouble is? Let's see if we can fit the time of trouble in a time frame. Let's look at Job chapter 13. 22 and 23. Job 3:8, 22 and 23. Find it. Job 3:8, 22 and 23. We are told, hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow? Did you see it? Or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail? Here we are pointing to what? Hail. And we are told, which I have reserved against the what? Against the day of what? Battle and war. So we know the time of trouble is something called the day of battle and war. And there will be hail falling on that time of trouble. So how do you know it is the time of trouble? On the period called the time of trouble, hail will be falling that God is using in war against men. When is that time that hail falls? Look at chapter 16 of the book of Revelation. Let's see when that hail falls. Chapter 16 in the book of Revelation. Chapter 16 in the book of Revelation. Let's read from verse 1. Verse 1 first. And then we will go down to verse 17 and verse 18. We'll go down to here. Look at verse 1. What does it tell us? And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God on the earth. Did you see that, my dear brethren? So the 7 angels goes to pour out the 7 final plagues, or the 7 last plagues upon the face of the earth. Let's now go down to verse 17. Verse 17. I quote, and the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, it is done. And there were voices, and thunders, and lightning, and there was a great earthquake such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. And then we go down to verse 20 and 21. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great what? Hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of what? A talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail. For the plague thereof was how? Exceedingly great. So here, the hail is one of the plagues that make up the 7th final, the 7th plague. The 7th plague itself. And the 7th plague is part of the 7 plagues. That's when the hail falls. But since the hail is to fall in the time of trouble, it means to say that the hail is going to fall in the what? Greater time of trouble. So the greater time of trouble, when the 7 final plagues fall, that's when that hail falls. That's why the time of trouble is the time when the what? 7 final plagues are going to what? Fall. At which time the earth is going to be what? Destroyed. Because you see about the global earthquake here. Is that understood? So, you and I, we are now living in the little time of trouble. Coming soon. The greater time of trouble. When no man will be able to be saved then. That's why today when they hear his voice, what we are told. Is that understood, my dear brother? But here's the question. Here's the question. Next shot. Why is this called the little time of trouble now? Why is it called the little time of trouble? Why is this called the little time of trouble now? It is called the little time of trouble now because God is making sure that these kind of destructions that are taking place will not run riot all over the earth. That's what he's doing. So now retribution is tempered with mercy. But when no more mercy, nobody is going to block the world from the destruction that is coming. But for this time now, we still have mercy. Look at Revelation chapter 7 and see why it is called the little time of trouble. Revelation chapter 7. Verse 1 to verse 4. We read. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt, notice this, to hurt what? The earth and the sea. Say, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of God, where? In their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed. There were 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So here we are being told that the reason why we are facing only a little time of trouble now is because 4 angels are holding back the winds of what? Strife. That's why we have the little time of trouble. Because God is not going to allow it to blow until the children of Israel are what? Sealed. Is that understood, my dear brethren? We have to wait for the children of Israel to be sealed, and then all hell will break loose. That's the reason why, that while you are in the little time of trouble, you are in the sealing time. Is that understood? While you are in the little time of trouble, you're in the time that you can be sealed. Here is what Mrs. White said about the little time of trouble. And I quote from early writings, page 85 to 86. I quote, the commencement of that time of trouble, here mentioned, does not refer to the time when the plagues shall begin to fall. Does not refer to the time when the plagues shall begin to be poured out, but to a short period just before they are poured out. While Christ is in the sanctuary, at that time, while the work of salvation is closing, trouble will be coming on the earth, and the nations will be angry, yet held in check, so as not to prevent the work of the third angel. So the sealing takes place with the work of the third angel. This is the reason why, when we explain the third angel's message of justification by faith to you, that message is the sealing message. The teachings there is what settles you into the truth that you cannot be what? Removed. What settles you into morality also. What softens your conscience and removes a hard heart. So you see, during the time, the little time of trouble, this is the time when greater trouble will be coming, but angels hold it back, giving us a chance to be sealed by the work of the third angel. She tells us, at that time, the latter rain or refreshing from the presence of the Lord will come to give power to the loud voice of the third angel, and to prepare the saints to stand in the period when the 7 last plagues shall be poured out. So you want to be able to stand when the 7 last plagues are falling. You need to be sealed. You need to be sealed with the third angel's message, plus the 4th angel's message, the loud cry or the latter rain to settle you. That's what you need. And this is the reason why this church exists in the first place. For those who want to be prepared for the end which is swiftly coming. That's why our program is Escape for What? That's why that is our program. So the point about it is, listen to me carefully. Pay attention. Don't let your mind be flighty. Concentrate. You want to prepare for the end, which is swiftly coming. You've got to do it now while you're in the little time of trouble. That is when the final work for your salvation is closing. When that period finishes, no work to bring people to Christ during the plagues, which is the greater time of trouble. No work. The work for your salvation must happen now. This is the closing work for your salvation. I know some of you are sitting here before me right now, hearing over and over that the final work of your salvation is going on. And some of your hearts are getting harder and harder and more rebellious, not humbling to Jesus Christ. Some of you are working out your own destruction by reasoning. Some of you hearing these truths feel you have gotten above it. And as a result of that, you can rebel against God. Don't think that you will be ready. Do not even think that you will be ready. Because this is the time God will allow you to show you, allow you to show yourself, to show what you're going to be pursuing with the traits you have. That's what's going to happen. It's going to show that in your traits. And this is the reason why, when you have a chance now, humble yourself and take it. Is that understood, my dear brother? When you have a chance now, humble yourself and what? And take it by the grace of God. Yes, my dear brother. Let us find out, who is this Israel that is being seen? Who is this Israel? Because evangelicals tell you they are physical Jews. Jews in the state of Israel. The Bible tells you that kind of people were never considered Israel. They may have had the physical name Israel, but Israel was always those who accepted Christ. That's what the Bible shows you. But the church of God is clearly identified as Israel in your Bible. So Psalm 73 verse 1 tells us what? Let's look at what Psalm 73 verse 1, since the Old Testament, tells us. Psalm 73 verse 1. Explaining who is Israel. It tells us, surely God is good to whom? Israel. Even to such as are of what? Those who have a clean heart. So of all the physical Israel, only those who have a clean heart are already Israel. And any Gentile who have a clean heart, they are what? Israel. Did you see that? Say if you have a what? A clean heart, what are you? Israel. Proof of it. Turn to Galatians 6, 15 and 16. Galatians 6, 15 and 16. Here is what we are told. Galatians 6, 15 and 16. Quote. Here is what we are told by a Jew himself. He tells us, for in Christ Jesus, neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision. God is not careful about that. He doesn't study whether you're circumcised or not. Whether you're circumcised or you are not, so what? That doesn't avail anything before God. What does it say? Now, by the way, let's just stop here for a while. Why does the Bible use the word avail before God? The phrase avail before God is always in the judgment. You see, God must convert you, but there must be something in you that must cause you to what? Avail before God. The only thing that can cause you to avail before God in the judgment is this. Let's read. We read from verse 15 again. For in Christ Jesus, neither circumcision availeth. No, did you just see that there? And the actual Greek text, it says, neither circumcision is of any ability. It doesn't avail. Nor uncircumcision, but a new creation. The word creature there, the Greek is creation. So say it that way. Nothing avails but a what? New creation. And as many as walk according to this rule, the rule of a new creation, what does it say? Peace be on them, and what? Mercy, and upon what? The Israel of God. So the Israel of God is a new creation. If you are newly created, is that understood? So those who are newly created and become the Israel of God, that person will avail before the judgment. Is that understood? So this is the reason why Israel here is not the physical tribes of Israel. Let's get further proof who that Israel is. If we look at Romans 9, 6 to 8. Romans 9, 6 to 8 again. Romans 9, 6 to 8. So observe what it tells us here. Quote, verse 6. Not as though the word of God had taken none effect. For they are not all Israel which are of what? Israel. Did you see that? They are not all what? Physical Israel which are of what? Spiritual Israel. How do you know that? You know. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham, that's physical, are they all what? Children of Abraham. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are what? Not the children of God, but the children of the what? Promise, accounted for what? The seed of Abraham. Do you see that right here, people? And this is the reason why don't you even think that a physical Jew is the children of Israel. If the physical Jew is converted, he with a converted Gentile, they are the children of Israel. Look at verse 24. Verse 24. Even us, whom he had called. Did you see that? Even whom? Us, whom he had what? Called. Not of the what? The Jews only, but also of whom? Gentiles. That's right. So Jews and Gentiles converted, a new creation, they are the Israel of God. So when you see this sealing is taking place upon the Israel of God, it is Jews and Gentiles that are what? Converted. That is the new creation. So whether you are Chinese, African, Indian, European, Israeli in Israel, if you are converted, if you are a new creation, you are the Israel of God. Amen, brethren? Is that understood? Is that understood? And that's the reason why who is being sealed is the Israel of God. Do you get that clear, my dear brethren? Do you get that clear? Do you get that clear? Next shot. Okay, so as this chart shows you here, the little time of trouble which we are in now is a sign of the what? Greater time of trouble, which is the what? 7 final plagues. And during that time, when the 7 final plagues are falling, God's people must have all the times what? Sinfulness from the ceiling. See how simple we make it. You see how simple. These are the same truths of Adventism, written in all the spirit of prophecy and prophetic teaching, but made in a simple way for all of us, so that every child can understand. This will therefore cause it to be settled into the truth, and nobody can move it from you. Sealed in the truth. Notice again, during the little time of trouble which is now, that is a sign of the what? Greater time of trouble which is to come. which is the what? 7 final plagues. During the 7 final plagues, God's people must have what? All times sin-freeness. Not just sin-freeness, but what? All times sin-freeness from the what? Sealed. So you need to be sealed that you cannot turn back into sin again. You need to be settled into the truth that you don't want to go back into sin again. So you cannot go back into sin again. And this must happen to you by the time the 7 plagues begins. This is the reason why while you are in the little time of trouble, it's a time for you to be sealed. It's a time for you to get ready. Is that understood, my dear brother? Let's look at what we are told about preparing in 2 Peter chapter 3. 2 Peter chapter 3, 10 to 14. You see, during a little time of trouble, trouble will be coming upon the earth, which are signs of the greater time of trouble of the 7 final plagues. So we see signs that they are soon to fall when they show us the total global destruction. That total global destruction is to take place at the second coming of Jesus Christ. By that time, we must have all kinds of sin sealed that way. So when you see destructions taking place now, what are those destructions telling you? This is your last chance of salvation. Be sealed now for the time of the greater time of trouble, when the plagues are falling, because when the plagues are falling, you must be blameless and without spot. Which means you must have all times what? Sin-free. Let's read. In 2 Peter chapter 3, from verse 10. But the day of Yahweh will come as a thief in the night. Always remember this, the day of Yahweh is the year of the plagues. The year of the 7 what? Final plagues. That is called the day of Yahweh. So the 7 final plagues will come as a thief in the night. Nobody will know when the plagues start. It just happens like that. And a year of great troubles taking place, which now is the greater time of trouble, which is the plagues. So we are actually being told the day of Yahweh will come as a thief in the night. Some people don't understand that it didn't say Jesus himself will appear as a thief in the night. Jesus appears at the ending of the 7th plague. But by that time, big destructions are taking place on the earth. At that time, people are rushing with the final purge to kill us. And then suddenly Christ appears in the sky. But what comes as a thief in the night? The day of Yahweh, or the day of the Lord. And that day equals a what? A year, according to Isaiah. So it's the year of the plagues. So what is coming as a thief in the night is the 7 final plagues, the greater time of trouble. That is what is coming as a snare upon the earth. Are you listening to me? So that's the reason why when the first plague starts, it's too late for everybody. Because that will be like a snare upon the earth. And this is the reason why today you need to prepare yourself. How much times must I say? How much time must I open my voice and cry out to ask you to prepare yourself? Why am I doing this? Why do you think I am doing this? Why do you think I am saying this? I am saying this because of the conviction I get from God to tell you this. It's not the devil that tells you that. The devil doesn't tell you, prepare for the second coming of Christ. The devil tells you the Lord what? His son. So why am I telling you over and over this? Why am I telling you this? Because of conviction from God. When I get my convictions, I pass it on to you. I don't just keep it with me. When I get, I pass it on to you. So I'm showing you that time is late and Jesus Christ is coming very soon. And you need to prepare. Don't you not think I lie down in my bed thinking of needing to prepare and so on? Even last night I was doing the same thing. Almost every night I lie down, am I ready here? What else do I have to say about it? How do I handle such situations? What must I do? I think about that way all the time. And when I pray to God in the light of getting prepared. And I am passing it on to you. I'm using the truths of the Bible to bring conviction to your mind that the final work of your salvation is going on now.
Amen.
Some of you think you will have time in the future. But God already called you now. And if you already called you now, make your calling and selection sure. Amen. Is that understood? Amen. Is that understood? Amen. If He called you now, make your calling and selection sure. That's what you have to do. You have to be sure. Make your calling and election sure. Because He called you now. That's why today when you hear His voice, what does the Bible tell you? That's the reason why you're not supposed to have in your heart. But some people are too wise for God in their reasoning. And in their reasoning, they're hardening their heart, but they think they're getting closer to God. Terrible delusion. Terrible, terrible delusion. By their fruits they know them. Just examine the fruits and you will see. Are they more spiritual? Are they more dedicated to God? Are you seeing a lax in the dedication? Judge for yourself.
One more thing,
yes.
One reason also why it is you are showing that is because God loves me so much that I didn't know, I never associated coming as a TV in the place. So look, I know it.
Amen.
I am thankful for it.
Amen. 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 Let's continue reading from here. That's right. Again, verse 10. But the day of Yahweh will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be what? Burned up. So here we are actually being told terrible catastrophe. As I stand here now talking to you, do you know what's happening in Australia? As I stand right here talking to you, certain parts of Australia, the heat, they call it an atmospheric anomaly. That's what the scientists call it. The heat has gotten so terrible. If you put on a slippers, it will melt on the foot. Pavements are melting. Pavements are melting right now as we are talking here. All this is a sign that the elements will melt with what? Fervent heat. So when you see this little time of trouble action, prepare for the greater part, time of trouble. That's what you've been told. Right now that's happening here. Right now it's happening. If you wear a shoe with rubber underneath, you can't walk on the pavement because the pavement melting and the shoe melting in Australia. Where have you ever heard that? But you see, God in His mercy has multiplied the signs. And the signs are multiplied to us to give us warning because He loves us. He cries along to us. But you must know that the long suffering of God is coming to an end soon. Because the end is coming. I myself pray and say, Lord, time no longer. Let it come. I myself kneel and say, Lord, let it come. Because you have the chance now. During a little time of trouble, you have the chance to prepare. You have the chance to be sealed. It's the last work for your salvation that is going on. The Lord, don't you realize that? It's the last work of your salvation. And if it is the last work of your salvation, Don't throw it away. Make your calling and selection in the judgment sure. Is that understood, my dear brother? Let's read on. Verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy one? And the actual word conversation in the Greek there means behavior. So since you see this is going to happen, you need to have a holy one. Behavior. Do you check your behavior? I always have to check my behavior. I have to watch my behavior 24/7. I have to know how to relate right to every situation. Don't encourage the wrong in the wrong, and encourage the good in the good. All those who seek help, be benevolent to help. Those who don't want help, still be benevolent. Know when to keep a distance, know when to go forward. Don't throw yourself in every trouble. This is what I have to. Know what to say to whom and when. Because it's not right for you to preach and show your word before flying all the time. Sometimes you have to keep silent. And there's a time to speak. I don't walk the streets of Port of Spain without every time I'm walking accosting some person who I have to talk to. Because they see me on television, they want to talk, but not every one of them that get conditioned on television is ready to go forward. The other day I was stopped, but I know that the person who stopped me was a great criminal. A great, violent criminal. And he stopped me because he saw me on television and he wanted to talk. And he said, you see all those things going on and it's terrible. He telling me that Christ coming soon. I tell him a little thing about Christ coming soon. His defense was, he is ready to come to church. Then I see the lights start to close. I quickly skip out. Someone said, why you run from me? Why you turn away from me? Talk to him more. But he was quickly starting to have his eyes, so I just leave him. Let there be more extension. But you see, while you talk to them, you have to be careful that you yourself are not being washed away. Amen? And you have to be true to yourself. You have to be true to yourself in your heart. Because I will read for you where this is why it says that God will make you show your real spirit and what you have been doing with yourself. He will make you show your real spirit and what you have been doing with yourself. This is the age where signal retribution is coming. You see it in the nation. And for those of you here who have a chance and are wasting your time by not going forward, you need to change that attitude. Don't let retribution fall on you. Today when you hear his voice, we are told, harden not your heart. Why does that stick in my mind all the time? It continues. Let's read. Verse 11 again. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy behavior and godliness, looking for, verse 12, and hasting unto the second coming, unto the coming of the day of God. Notice what it says here, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God. You want the day of God to come fast. The same day that is going to come as a thief in the night. You want that day of God to come fast. You want it to be hastened. But you must hasten it in your behaviors. So it says here, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heaven being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth what? Righteousness. So in the light of that, what are we told? Look at the last verse. Verse 14. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that you look for such things, be diligent that you may be found of him. How? Without what? Spot and what? Blameless. Notice, be found. Anytime the phrase tells you you have to be found in him, why are you being told to be found in him? That's a judgment phrase. So as you're being searched, you're found in him. But you're found blameless. Amen, brethren? Amen? And without spot. Without spot means sin-free. Blameless means, if you look at it psychologically, blameless means all the reasons you had for doing wrong have been purged by faith. That's what it means. Blameless means all the knowledge or the reasons you had for doing wrong have been removed by revealed truth. So you no longer have in your mind any reason or any logic to do wrong. So you are blameless. You can only be blamed if you have reasons in your mind for wrong. But if all the reasons in your mind for wrong is gone, what are they going to blame you for? Nothing. Because you have no reasons to do wrong. What do you say? So you're without spot and you're blameless. So we must be sin-free in our works, and our minds must be purged from every logic to do wrong. Amen, brethren? We're told that as the day of the Lord, the 7 final plagues are coming. Is that seen, my dear brethren? Do you see that? Here is what we are told. Remember, the little time of troubles, has been presented by Jesus as signs of a second one coming. Let's look at that in Luke 21. (25 to 27). Luke 21, 25 to 27. Is this one? And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations and perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's heart failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the power of heaven shall be what? And now look at verse 24. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud, with power and what? Great glory. Did you see that? So in other words, the little time of trouble is given to us as a sign of the second coming of Christ. It is a sign of the 7 final plagues and a sign of the second coming of Jesus. Is that understood, my dear brother? Here is what we are told by Mrs. White in an Adventist Apocalypse, page 32. I quote, "The vials of God's wrath," the what? Vials of God's wrath. "And the sprinkling of them are already coming. You hear of calamities by land and sea, and they are constantly increasing." Page 33. And in page 194 she tells us, local disturbances, what? Local disturbances in nature are permitted to take place as symbols, as what? Symbols of that which may be expected all over the world when the angels loose the 4 winds of the earth. seeing now and then are just symbols of what will happen all over the world when angels release the four winds. That's what you're seeing. So what we're going to show you now in these videos here are some symbols. So we're going to just look at some videos and then we will look at a few more points. But I need you to see this. You need to see what is going on in the world. You're looking at symbols. What are you looking at? Symbols of what is happening. Okay? So pay attention to what you're seeing here now.
On the 20th, at least 50 cows were mysteriously found dead near a village in Ganjam district, India, triggering panic among locals. According to reports, 5 cowmen were looking after hundreds of grazing cows when all of a sudden their behavior changed and about 50 of them unexpectedly and instantly dropped dead. Officials claim to be researching the cause. Also on the 20th, once again a large number of gala birds have suddenly dropped dead from the sky in Australia. This time was in South Australia's Lower Lakes region. If you recall, a few months back, I reported the occurrence of 200 gala birds being found dead of unknown causes in the town of Burra. The birds have once again been submitted for testing, but it always seems we never get to hear the results of these tests. On the 22nd, 13 tons of dead fish washed up in the Rodrigo de Freitas Lagoon in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Officials believe a sudden change in water temperature killed the fish overnight.
Imagine in India, there you are minding cows, all of a sudden the cows start to behave strange, and about 50 of them just drop dead together like that. Where have you ever heard this? Look at the Olympic grounds, where they have the kind of races for the Olympics in Brazil. The whole area there becomes a set of rotten fish, smelling so very bad, and fishes are just dying all over the place. Birds just keep dropping from the sky all over the place and dying. All these things keep happening as signs of the end. But that's not all. We are told hail is one of the plagues. There are signs that the hail is getting worse.
On the 20th, multiple severe thunderstorms hit New South Wales, Australia, dropping tennis ball-sized hail and causing massive damage to property and vehicles. The Insurance Council of Australia has declared the event to be a catastrophe.
from the Weather Bureau indicating the risk not just of large but giant hail. The heavens have delivered in an intense downpour on Thursday afternoon. Hailstones the size and shape of poached eggs smashed their way through Sydney's eastern, inner and western suburbs when a succession of storms hit the city in the late afternoon. Weather Bureau meteorologist Ash Lang said there had been reports of 2 centimeters hail in Petersham, 3.5 centimeters hail in Summerhill and 5 centimeters hail in Barora between 4:30 p.m. and 5 p.m. But on social media, the massive chunks of ice could be found all across the city. The SES urged people to stay indoors to avoid being struck by the massive hailstones, and move their cars under cover or away from trees. But the warning came too late for many. Paddington resident Christopher Sharp said the hail went from the size of golf balls to cricket balls and smashed a skylight in his home. It suddenly felt quite foolish to be gawping at the windows, he said. When I went outside just now, the street was lined with men checking the roofs of their cars for damage. With more storm cells hovering over the metropolitan area, the city's workers were warned to prepare for a wet and potentially dangerous commute home. Their journey home wasn't helped by public transport grinding to a halt during the evening peak. Light rail services were abruptly suspended just before 6:30 p.m. sending passengers on board a Central to Dulwich Hill service out into the Wetwood Convention. The inclement weather also caused the partial closure of the T3 line between Bankstown and Sydenham due to urgent power supply repairs, with bus companies used as replacement services. Services travelling away from the city on the Illawarra line were also impacted due to urgent track repairs at Hurstville. A severe thunderstorm warning for large portions of the state including Sydney's CBD, south and west, along with Newcastle.
Also on the 16th, there was a torrential hailstorm in Sun City, South Africa. The massive accumulations flooded streets and damaged homes and businesses.
We just gave you a little piece, but you see what's going on. All these are signs of what we call the greater time of trouble. Now here are volcanoes that have been exploding. Let's look at this one.
An intense eruptive phase started at the Soputan volcano in Sulawesi, Indonesia. The volcano is producing lava fountains and ash columns up to 8 kilometers above sea level. The aviation color code was raised to red, with an exclusion zone of 4 kilometers. Also on the 15th, the alert level was raised to 3 for the Ambrim volcano in Vanuatu, after a new intra-caldera flank eruption. The activity consists of ongoing lava flows and lava fountains with ash and gas emissions. If lava flows continue to find a way outside the caldera, they could threaten villages on the eastern slopes and coast. Residents are told to keep a distance of 4 kilometers from the crater. large explosions continue at the Popocatépetl volcano in Mexico, ejecting lava bombs and ash columns up to 2 kilometers above the crater. On the 16th, there were 3 major earthquakes. 2 were magnitude 6.1 in Jayapura, Indonesia, ranging in depth from 80 to 100 kilometers, and a magnitude 6.0 earthquake in Western Australia at a depth of 10 kilometers. There have been no damages or injuries reported. Also on the 16th, another rare earthquake hit Tennessee, a magnitude 3.0 at a depth of 20 kilometers, which was the 3rd quake to hit the area in 1 week. The quake was also felt in parts of Georgia, Kentucky, and North Carolina. On the 18th, there was a strong explosive eruption at Mount Shindake in Japan, ejecting ash and rocks over 2,000 meters above the crater, along with a pyroclastic lava flow reaching 1 kilometer down the slopes. Strong activity continues from the newly formed southeast crater at Mount Etna in Italy, as it continues to feed 2 lava flows descending the eastern slopes. After the eruption of Vanuatu's Ambrym volcano sparked a series of earthquakes on the 15th, cracks and fissures began forming around the island. Several homes have already been destroyed, and several more are in danger as the ground continues to shift. On the 20th, there was a magnitude 7.3 earthquake 87 kilometers off the coast of Nikolskoye, Russia, at a depth of 33 kilometers. A tsunami warning was issued, but called off shortly after. On the 19th, there was a strong magnitude 6.3 earthquake southeast of Easter Island, at a depth of 10 kilometers. Four people were injured and more than 2,000 were forced to flee their homes after a massive fire raced through a neighborhood in the Brazilian city of Manaus, engulfing at least 600 wooden houses. The cause of the blaze was said to be a pressure cooker.
So my dear brethren, what you all have been seeing, like the first volcano is out there in the South Pacific, in a country called Vanuatu. There are like some islands in that country. One of them by the name of Ambrym, named after that huge volcano you saw there. But that volcano just erupted last week and cracked the whole island up. You see any huge cracks running through the island. All this is a sign of trouble. Look at Mount Etna in Italy there. Just this week it erupted. But the eruption was so bad that it actually rocked the place like an earthquake and caused houses to be broken up. That's in Italy. Indonesia alone has more than 16 volcanoes erupting at the same time right now. Indonesia alone. And more are still happening. This is what you are seeing. All these are signs of what is to come. Now watch the size of this sinkhole. Sinkholes are getting bigger and bigger. Watch the size of this one.
On the 18th, a giant 30-meter wide and 15-meter deep sinkhole suddenly opened in Surabaya, Java, Indonesia, swallowing a huge section of 4-lane road. Officials are claiming that this is not related to seismic activity in the area and are blaming nearby construction to a parking garage.
In keeping track here of some global sinkhole activity. We can see a massive sinkhole opening up here, and this is near an Indonesian hospital, and this is in Indonesia's second largest city. You can see that all the earth just giving away here, and they're saying that this is connected to issues with some underground construction. Now, the details as to exactly what happened, they're kind of sketch. There's no details as to if anyone was hurt or swallowed by this, anything like that. It seems like this is something that happened rather quickly, took people by surprise. I don't think there's any deaths involved, or there would be that reported. In terms of injuries, there's names of no one attached to this. Even the people connected to the construction underground here, I'm sure, don't want to be mentioned and have anything to do with this, because this is a big disaster. And how do you fix something like this? When the earth just gives way? Well, if there's an issue where it's continuing to sink somewhere in there and swallow up more earth, it can continue to do that for some time. Now, we don't.
Quickly, a lot of tidal waves have been coming in different countries, but the water coming in the countries, sometimes they blame storm, but there's no storm. Right now, as we speak, huge waves are attacking Ecuador, with houses literally falling off into the sea. Nothing like that has ever happened before. That's happening in Ecuador right now. But suddenly this new phenomenon started only in December, of huge waves coming in and flooding cities. Like if the sea is breaking its bounds. So we want to show you some of this happening in different parts of the earth.
A heads up for those that may be visiting the beach this week on the West Coast between Washington State and Central California. They're saying that about halfway down through California is where these waves are stretching to, and it's emanating from these storm systems that is driven by persistent low pressure near Alaska. These massive waves have been pounding the area from specifically southern Washington State through Central California, with San Francisco Bay Area being one of the regions taking the brunt of all these waves. Now they're expecting these waves to reach 30 to 40 feet. Some could hit 50 in different areas.
People on Sanibel Island knew the wind and the rain were coming, but they were not ready for the wall of water that came out of nowhere, nearly sweeping them right off the beach. Nightside's Bo Zimmer shows us what caused this rare wave.
Look out!
Beachgoers are sent sprinting, attempting to dodge a massive wave of water seemingly out of nowhere. The wave crashing up onto and through beach cottages on Captiva Island, southwest of Fort Myers. Meteorologists calling this a meteo tsunami because it's caused not by an earthquake, but weather factors like a sudden change in air pressure. It only lasted seconds, but the whole thing is caught on camera.
Wow, they got that on live TV.
It seems like the water keeps coming, carrying away recycling bins and forcing those caught in the waist-deep water to seek higher ground.
Oh my God, this is cold!
It appears the wave flooded out several units in the castaway cottages.
Number 7 is flooded, I'm sure. Because it went right through the screen door.
Even a news truck from our CBS affiliate Wink TV out of Fort Myers seems to get caught up in the high water.
Oh, it's all time.
And it's not just Captiva. Areas up and down Florida's west coast saw the effects of strong onshore winds. On Anna Maria Island, county officials cordoned off the beach area there as the threat of high surf, waves, and coastal flooding continues.
The emergency services in Cuba's capital, Havana, have been evacuating the elderly, the sick and the vulnerable after heavy flooding in the coastal city. They've also been evacuating dogs, which are highly regarded and mostly looked after well by Cubans. An extra tropical storm caused a swell in the sea and saw 4 and 5 meter high waves breach Havana's sea wall.
Boy, a wild weather day throughout southwest Florida, and this may be some of the wildest video yet. A huge wave crashing over a beach on Sanibel, flooding out some rental cottages and forcing management to relocate their guests.
Stop. はい、今第2弾が来ました。ひどいなこれ。うわやばいな。ホテルの人はさ、うわすごい、さっきよりすごいねこれ。本当にこれやばい。
水が水長まで入ってくるまで。やばい。来た来た来た。あれやばい。ガテガタに出たけど。うわ。出た。うわ。ああ流れて入ってきた。うわ。これ大丈夫なの入ってる。うわ。
いやいやなんだこれ本当に。
あれここで汚い水じゃなかったでしたっけ？
なんだこれ。あ、止まってる場合じゃねえよ。あ、中来た、中。うわ、なんだこれ。
ダメなの？あれはっきり言ってダメだって。
いやー、すげえな、これ。やべえぞ、これ。人乗ってねえべな。あー、乗ってんじゃね？いや、
あ、もうあっちも全部ダメだ。
あー、ダメだ。発電所もダメだ。あ、プレハブ動いてる。プレハブ動いてるよ。あらららら。これ火事になっちゃねえ。大丈夫か？電気で。
ようやく水引いてきたの。また来たの？
これ切れるでしょ、これ。切れるでしょ、これ。切れるよ。
また来た。
また来たぞ。また来たね。
This was supposed to be another part in Japan happening in 2018. Another part in Japan. But a lot of these things are not being reported by the media. Many of these things that are taking place, in fact, it comes like if they have come to a conspiracy, if they report it, the Christians will think Christ coming very soon. So don't say it. In fact, they are already looking to pass laws. Get this one. They are already looking to pass laws, get this one, to force men to sit down and urinate. They don't want men to stand up, it is too macho and it's anti-feminine. So they are considering passing laws for men to sit down and urinate. But that's reality. Socialism is stupidness. That's just what it is, stupidness. Complete stupidness. That's why there is big revolt going on against the EU socialism. That's the reason why yesterday they almost caught the president of France, 40 of them. Were it not for the police, they might have guillotined his head because French people are walking with guillotines in public now. And also today they burned down the Bank of France. Real revolt is going on. So let us look at some of the revolt going on here in the European Union.
The authorities had banned this protest for fear it could become violent. That decision was overturned, but the fear justified. The protesters angry, believing their voices aren't being listened to. That anger was met by the force of Belgian police who tried to silence them. At first, though, they fought back, returning fire with whatever they could. Eventually, the police dispersed the crowd, but it did nothing to dampen their anger about the country's immigration policy. This protester said, "I think a lot of people see the dangers, and I think they have the right to protest this."
President quietly signs a controversial UN migration pact, while tensions over migrants in France keep rising. The 5 weeks of yellow vest protests in France are fading away, but a significant gap remains between the country's president, Emmanuel Macron, and its people. And amid the turmoil, Macron quietly signed up France for this: a UN agreement for safe, orderly, and regular migration. And he did it without public debate or approval from Parliament or the Senate. The Global Compact is a non-binding agreement that lays out what it calls a cooperative framework for managing international migration in all its dimensions. Under its guidelines, that means making sure that migrants are fully informed about their rights, obligations, and options, while citizens are given information that dispels misleading narratives that could generate negative perceptions of migrants. It goes further to outline that media professionals need to be sensitized to migration-related issues, and that governments should cut public funding to media outlets that systematically promote intolerance, xenophobia, racism, and other forms of discrimination towards migrants. Overall, the document paints a highly positive picture of migration, but provides little consideration for citizens and how they are affected. And in France, the citizens we spoke to were suspicious of the pact.
violence has flared in Barcelona with pro-independence protests erupting in Spain's Catalonia region, leaving more than 60 protesters and police officers injured. Well, it stemmed from a government decision to relocate the weekly cabinet meeting from Madrid to the Catalan capital, ostensibly as a conciliatory gesture of unity. But it coincided with the first anniversary of a heavy-handed police crackdown on independent supporters. A journalist in Barcelona talked us through Friday's renewed protest.
Normally the cabinet meeting is held in Madrid, but as Pedro Sanchez did already in Andalusia, he also wanted to do it here in Barcelona. And people took it as a provocation because only 1 year ago Catalonia declared independence. So people obviously are angry because they want to be independent and they want to be separate from the whole Spain. So as you can see behind me, you have signs of Liberad Presos Políticos, which means please liberate the political prisoners. Still 9 of them are held in detention, and basically you have old people, you have young people protesting and still trying to remember what happened here one year ago. So people took out of the streets not only here in the central, but also they blocked AP7, which is a freeway leading to the airport. So many
very complicated, and you know, there is a crisis. Normally the government has to resign, but he didn't resign, and it's a nice example of the problem in Belgium. These people, they speak about democracy, but they don't use democracy.
So you see right here that even in Taiwan, the yellow vest movement has spread. And guess what? A whole new yellow vest movement has risen up in California, and I quote, to stop California from becoming communist. So you had a big movement rise up in California now. We're in the same kind of yellow vest, to stop California from going totally communist. Because right now California is communist. And by the way, they say also men have to sit down to do it. Not stand up. So you see what you have going on here is trouble all over the world. The world is turning to the right. Do you know what they are protesting here in Taiwan? A graduated income tax, which is what you call pointed out in the Communist Manifesto, that should be done to communize the country. So even Taiwan itself is fighting back. Do you get that, my dear brethren? So trouble is coming. They're all moving to the right, and the world must move that way before Sunday law comes. And the fact that it is happening now, it shows us that we're indeed moving towards what? A Sunday law. One last film, you need to see the tsunami in Indonesia that destroyed us. Yes.
One that struck my mind when I was watching this like last. COVID was in France.
Yes.
First thing that happened to the Brazil.
Yes.
They continue to do it. Right up to the night.
Yes.
And now, it's the same place to start back from.
Again, you said the same place to start back from France, turning right with Clovis. Yes. France was the first of those barbarian nations that turned right with Clovis. And then eventually the papacy was able to take over. So now we have again in France, France has started the Yellow Vest movement turning right. The only thing they have a little bit before them was the US president. Yes. That was a lie. The paper that did it, Le Monde, was a Jewish paper, and the man who is in charge of that, the editor in charge of that paper, he is one of them responsible for Macron being here. They decided to lie to the public, give them the impression he was something like Donald Trump. But it was completely the opposite. He was a worker of Rothschild Bank. Macron is a Rothschild Bank, an investment banker. They take a young Jewish guy, Macron, an investment banker for the Rothschild, and make him become president of France. And they have totally no regard for their people. They're boiling democracy, and signing all kinds of laws that all the people agree and the people have to protest. Now things have been so far. They've set the French bank on fire, and they almost got Mr. Macron himself. So you see, it's going to get worse. They tell you it is cooling up, but it is not cooling down. It is now spreading and getting worse and worse in all the nations. I tell you, even California now wants to overthrow communism in California, and they have put on the yellow vest. That should show you there's a swing to the right all over the world. Do you know, last week, a country 95% Islam, Iraq, made Christmas an official public holiday. So even in the Middle East, some of the nations there are deciding to swing here to the right. Imagine Iraq make Christmas an official public holiday in a 95% Muslim country, Shia Muslimism. So it shows you something strange is happening. There's a swing going on. There's a change going on. And that's why you and I are asked to be ready. While all that is happening, Pakistan, which is outrageous self, have identified 11 people in the West. They want to be extradited to be tried for blasphemy of Muhammad. I don't mind if they call my name, but they will get Yahweh's name, which is the holy angel. Alright, so this is going on now, it's getting worse and worse. I want you to see just one more clip here. That's this last one here. And then we'll finish off.
What about the immigration that took place with the Venezuelan coming to Trinidad? All over the place.
With Venezuelans coming to Trinidad, the government say they are fighting back by holding immigrants and sending them back. But if you think Trinidad is facing a problem, you've got to look at Brazil and this other country, Colombia. Millions there. In fact, the right-wing government in Brazil said they are fed up with Venezuela. So Venezuela suspect that Brazil will go into war and attack them to overthrow Maduro to get rid of communism there. Because they know the government in Brazil has now gone totally to the right. It's happening all over the world. So you've got to know what is coming soon is a Sunday law. Hear me again, for those of you who are not paying attention. Hear me again. Before a Sunday law comes, the world must swing to the right. The current crisis you see going on, that is what is happening. Be aware, wake up and understand that there's a swing to the right going on. Because socialist nations ain't going to enforce any Sunday law. But the nations are now swung to the right. And by the way, we only show you those few years. If you know what's going on in Finland. Listen to me, let me tell you what happened in Sweden, just as a quick thing. Sweden recently had elections. The government that was in power is a feminist government. What kind of government? Feminist government. A lot of women, socialist women, running the country. They passed laws that even a little boy child must wear girl dress sometimes. They passed laws saying stop saying he and stop saying she. If you want to say a boy, just say hen. Just say hen. Hen, H-E-N. It's a word that means a man behaving like a woman. And that's what they're using in schools now to call a boy come there call him a hen. They will not call him a him or he. And that feminist government did that. The socialists growing in Sweden, passed by people home. Anybody who speak against it, they're throwing bomb in your home. But they never tell you that on the media. Donald Trump came and said Sweden is one of the worst countries in the world. They attacked Donald Trump for it. Only now to find out that Sweden has got more poor than it ever was. That the gap between rich and poor have gotten much bigger in Sweden. So Sweden had an election. In this election, the party that was supposed to win was called the Democrats, a young executive saloon. But you know with their elections, they cheat. They always cheat in the election. Now they're finding that Roy Moore won in America. It was Roy Moore that won. And I had a whole big conspiracy to make sure he didn't take off. So now they've launched an inquiry into that. So what happened in Sweden, the party that was supposed to win got enough votes but not enough to form the government. 3 months later, Sweden doesn't have a government. 3 months later. They do not want the party that is supposed to be able to form a government to come in power. They rather leave the country without a government, having those feminists running the country day by day. That's what's going on in Sweden, but they didn't tell you that in the media. They never tell you the truth, they lie. They often lie. What they didn't tell you also is that maybe in 2019, Sweden is going into civil war. Because mafias from those Muslim immigrants that are brought here, mafias from them, and from Syria and other places, now control a large amount of the population. Women are being kidnapped, raped, sold as sex slaves, and the people are revolting. And with that large area, apparently they are planning one big bloodshed. The Sweden, socialist Sweden. But the media are not telling you that because they don't want you to know. Because if you know, you might do something about it in your area. So they are lying and telling you, oh, the protests dying down. Also, if the protesters dying down, how come they almost caught the president in France yesterday? They almost taken down. How is it that they set fire to the central bank today? If the protesters go down. What they're not telling you is the protesters becoming more violent because they're not listening to people. Why the people protesting? Macron does something wrong. he signs the Global Immigration Pact into law without going before Parliament, without having debate on it, without the House or the Senate passing it. He on his own, like if he's his own government, signed it into law while the people protested. You see how outrageous this is? That is what is going on there. So he's in trouble. It's going to get worse and worse. So now watch the kind of upheavals that are going on upon the face of the earth.
We have a tsunami in Indonesia that apparently was caused by Krakatoa, a volcano going off. And so some footage has come out.
Teman-teman bukan salah tepuk tangan. Buat diserang di Pedas Road. Tepuk tangan. Buat diserang di Pedas Road.
There was no warning when the tsunami struck, no time to get away because there was no earthquake. Authorities believe it was triggered by an undersea landslide at the Anak Krakatau volcano. Nearby resorts packed full of people this holiday weekend. The horrifying moment the tsunami raced ashore caught on camera. Indonesian pop band 17 were performing at a resort in Western Java last night when a tsunami wave suddenly hit, sweeping away the stage and people. The lead singer posting this emotional video on Instagram, saying, "Our bass player and our manager passed away. I ask for prayers for my friends and dear wife who are still missing." The tsunami struck on Saturday night. No warning, just a wall of water slamming into the coastline. By sunrise, the scale of the destruction was clear. Flattened homes, washed out roads, rescue workers trying to get to those still trapped in the rubble. Too late for too many. Indonesia's Meteorology and Geophysics Agency says the tsunami could have been caused by undersea landslides after the Anak Krakatoa volcano erupted. Authorities warning residents and tourists in coastal areas around the Sunda Strait to stay away from beaches. A high tide warning is in place until Christmas Day. This was the latest in a series of tragedies to strike Indonesia. More than 2,500 were killed by a quake and tsunami this September. And in late December 2004, a massive magnitude 9.1 quake spawned a giant tsunami off Sumatra Island in western Indonesia, killing more than 230,000 people. And Willie, we are expecting the numbers of the victims to rise.
A tsunami believed to be triggered by a volcanic eruption killed at least 222 people in Indonesia during a busy holiday weekend, sweeping away hotels, hundreds of houses, and a group of people attending a beach concert. More than 800 were reported injured and 28 missing after the tsunami hit around the Sunda Strait on Saturday night, the Disaster Management Agency said. The toll could continue to rise because some areas had not yet been reached. Scientists, including those from Indonesia's Meteorology and Geophysics Agency, said Sunday that the tsunami could have been caused by undersea landslides or those occurring above sea level on the Anak Krakatau volcano's steep outside slope following the eruption. The volcano's name translates to the Child of Krakatoa, a volcanic island formed over years after one of the largest eruptions in recorded history occurred at the Krakatoa volcano more than a century ago. The scientists also cited tidal waves caused by the full moon. The Anak Krakatoa volcano lies in the Sunda Strait between Java and Sumatra Islands, linking the Indian Ocean and Java Sea. It erupted about 24 minutes before the tsunami, the Geophysics Agency said.
In between the beach shacks at a holiday resort in Java, the sea arrived as people were settling down to drinks and dinner. Where they could see it coming, people ran to get out of the way. But where they couldn't, the wave came with devastating effect. A drum solo starts at a concert given by a popular Indonesian rock band, but then the sea destroys the stage.
Watch the stone. Wait, one more. No, here.
In this Indonesian seaside neighborhood, the grim task of victim identification is underway. That's after hundreds were killed in a tsunami believed to have been triggered by a volcanic eruption on Saturday. As of Sunday morning, more than 220 people were reported killed, and at least 800 are injured. Hundreds of homes and other buildings have been destroyed or heavily damaged, burying people under rubble. Housewife Yuni was at home watching television when the tsunami hit, almost without warning. She heard a rumbling outside and thought it was the wind.
After I opened the door, water came in quickly and dragged me out.
That was at around 9:30 p.m. Half an hour earlier, Anak Krakatau, a volcano located halfway between Java and Sumatra, had erupted. Authorities say the western coast of Banten province has been hardest hit. As night fell on Sunday evening, rescue efforts continued, but workers and ambulances were finding it difficult to reach some affected areas, because roads have been blocked by debris from damaged homes, upturned vehicles, and fallen trees.
On the 22nd, at least 20 people have been killed and another 165 injured after a large tsunami hit beaches around Sunda Strait, Indonesia. Indonesian authorities say the wave was caused by volcanic and seismic activity from Mount Krakatoa, which is now experiencing another strong eruptive phase. Seismicity has sharply increased during the past few days, and the volcano is now showing continuous explosive effusive activity, along with lava flows from the summit vent.
So my dear brethren, this is just some of the destruction that took place, which you have seen here. This volcano is an evil, evil volcano. It has killed more people than any volcano in history. A whole European settlement was wiped out in the late 1800s when that volcano blew up, killed everyone, buried the whole city, and it is still quite out in the sea. So if it is out in the sea and they could do that to land close by, it shows you how terrible This one here now is the new one that grew up out of the old one. So they call it the son of Krakatoa, Anat Krakatoa. Dangerous volcano. Every time it explodes, some kind of thing must bring death to some people. In this case, tsunami that caused up to this day 430 people dead. So you see, my dear brethren, all this is happening in a little time of trouble. Now our time is past, but we just want to look at a few things very quickly here. If you observe the type of salvation you have to look for at the time of Jesus' second coming, notice what the Bible tells you. You need to just read some scriptures here. Let's just read some scriptures here to see what Jesus tells us about. Look at Luke 21 again. Luke 21. We will read 28, 30, 31, and 34 to 36. This group of scriptures gives us the type of salvation saved people have to look for, or the type of redemption people in Christ have to look for. Let's just look at those scriptures quickly. From verse 28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your head for your what? Redemption draweth nigh. This is the word I use here. For your redemption what? Draweth nigh. What is this? It continues if we go down to verse 30. It tells us, behold the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, you see and know of your own selves that summer is now near at hand. So likewise, when you see these things come to pass, know ye that the what? Kingdom of God is at hand. What did it say? Kingdom of God is near at hand. Okay? So it's a redemption where the kingdom of God is what? Near at hand. Let's continue to read. We go to verse 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare, what will come as a snare? Christ or the day? The day. The of the plague. He says, for that what? And so that day, for as a snare shall it come upon all them that dwell on the face of the what? Whole earth. Now hear what it tells us. Watch ye therefore, and pray always that you may be what? Accounted worthy. Look at the next one. You may be what? Accounted worthy. So this kind of redemption, in this redemption, you are what? Accounted worthy. So your redemption drawing nigh is when you are in this redemption accounted what? Worthy to inherit the what? Kingdom of God. So it goes on. It says here again that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to what? Stand before the Son of Man. Here it is. Stand before the Son of Man. So the kind of redemption that you have to look for at the second coming of Jesus Christ is a redemption that draws near, one that shows the kingdom of God is near at hand, one in which you are accounted worthy, and one in which you stand before the Son of Man. This is the kind of redemption you have to look for. Let's look at it in the next chart quickly. Yes. Not this one. This is a different kingdom near our time. Let's observe. What do you have up here? What do you have up here? Judgment. Let's see what it means to be accounted worthy for that redemption in the judgment. Look at Romans chapter 2. You must have seen it already, 13 and 16. Romans chapter 2. verse 13, and then verse 16. Observe what it means to be accounted worthy. It says this, for not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the what? Doers of the law shall be what? Justified. When? Verse 16. In the day when God shall judge the what? The secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to my word. Gospel. So it is in the judgment that a person is accounted worthy. When God investigates and you are found keeping his commandments, then God will justify you because you are keeping his commandments. That is the third justification or justification in the judgment. That's when you are accounted worthy. And so likewise, there are scriptures that show that we are redeemed finally in the day of redemption. There are scriptures that show that there must be something called the day of redemption where we are redeemed finally. That day of redemption is the day when all the saints are what? Redeemed, which is the investigative judgment. And then again we are told the kingdom of God is near at hand. We need to inherit the kingdom. The Bible tells us now we are only heirs of the kingdom. The Bible tells us God has chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and they are the heirs of the kingdom. But the Bible also tells us that we will enter, we will become an inheritor of the kingdom in the judgment. We will become an inheritor of the kingdom in the judgment. So this inheriting kingdom comes in the judgment only. Let's look at this one quickly in Matthew chapter 25. Before we move on. Matthew chapter 25. And we look at 31 to 34. Here is what we are told. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep from his goats. And he shall set the sheep on the right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on the right hand, come ye blessed of what? My Father. What does he say? Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the what? Foundation of the world. So we are only heirs of the kingdom now. But when we sit in, when this judgment sits, then we will become what? Inheritors of the kingdom. That's the kind of redemption we are looking for. A redemption in the judgment in which we are no longer heirs, potential inheritors, but we become what? Actual inheritors of the kingdom. And those who are counted worthy are those who obey God's word, law. The doers of the law what? Shall be justified. And to stand before the Son of Man is identified in the Bible as standing finally accepted before Jesus Christ. You must stand finally accepted before Jesus Christ. Notice again, the Bible clearly tells us that we will all be judged by the law of God, okay? We will all be judged by the what? Law of God. And Jesus tells us what it means to stand before him justified. Every idle word a man shall speak there, he shall give an account where? For by thy words thou shalt be what? And by thy words thou shalt be what? Amen. So again, to stand before Jesus, accepted, is to pass in the judgment. Okay, my dear brethren? Let me give you one more scripture here. In 2 Corinthians 5, 9 and 10. Now we know this scripture has other controversial facts with it. But we're not dealing with that part. Here is the part we're dealing with. 2 Corinthians 5, 9 to 10. It says, wherefore we labor that whether present or absent, we may be what? Accepted of him. So we are told to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. It doesn't mean some spirit leaves you. To be absent from the body means you die. But the Bible says your life is lived with Christ where? In God. So that way you're present with God. But we are told this, let's read again. Wherefore we labor that whether present or what? Absent, we may be what? Accepted of him. For we must all appear before what? That everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he had done. Whether it be what? Good or bad. So, if you have to stand before the Son of Man, it is to stand before the judgment seat, accepted before Christ, which is your redemption, which is inheriting the kingdom, which is being accounted for, worthy. And all this takes place where? In the judgment. So what kind of redemption you are looking for? Forensic redemption. Redemption in the judgment. That's right. That's the kind you're looking for. Because by the time that happened, you should have already prepared yourself in the little time of trouble. You should have already prepared yourself in the what? Little time of trouble. So that by the time your name comes up in the judgment, you're not found wanting. Amen. Amen, brethren? Your redemption has drawn nigh. What do you say? That's why Christ said, look up your head, lift up your head. By faith, into the sanctuary, and see, he's blotting out your past sins. Because you have lived faithfully. Is that understood? That is the kind of redemption you want. And final chart. True Christians that live what? Holy are approved of God what? Later where? So if you live holy now, you're approved of God when? In the judgment. Let me just give you one of a series of scriptures we have here. Look at Jude 21 and 24. Jude 21 and 24. Let's look at these verses. This will be our final scripture. Verse 21 of Jude. Keep yourselves where? What did I say? Keep yourselves where? In the love of God. Doing what? Looking for the mercy of our what? Lord Jesus Christ unto what? Eternal life. So you're in the love of God and you're looking for mercy and life in the future. Did you see that? Did you see that? You keep yourself in the love of God while looking for mercy unto eternal life. That's in the future. Now look at verse 24. Now unto him that is able to do what? Keep you from falling now. That is in sin now. And to present you how? Faultless before what? The presence of his glory with what? Exceeding joy. Notice this? He's able to present you faultless before his glory. So in other words, true Christians that live holy is approved of God later in the judgment. You are presented before God faultless. This is the reason why you have a chance to live holy now. This is the reason why you are called upon to live righteous now. I want to show this quotation and put it in every one of our places. Notice I include myself too. I include myself to be, so that nobody would be offended. So I give you quotation. There's a reason why I say that. So that nobody will be offended. Last quotation from Adventist Apocalypse. I leave you with this. As character develops. Now if you're not developing the character of Christ, you are developing a human, corrupt human personality traits. Because there's no evil character. You have no character. If you don't have the character of Christ, you have no what? Character. It's your corrupt personality traits that you develop. That's what Mrs. White is meaning when she says this. Hear what she says. As character develops, men and women will take their positions. They will do what? Take their positions. For varying circumstances brought to bear upon them will cause them to reveal the spirit which prompts them to action. So circumstances and situations will come to you, and it will reveal the spirit that you have been developing, which causes you or prompts you into action. Everyone will reveal the character of the bundle with which he is binding himself. This is a warning for all of us. As time gets older, you reveal where you are going. You show it in your personality trait or in the character of Christ that you are developing. You show it. The last Sabbath in 2018, 2019 is coming. You want to make sure when that year plenty crisis and trouble and Europe swinging to the right, you want to make sure that you, knowing that you're in the closing work for your salvation, you want to make sure that everything go well for you, don't you? Yes. Don't you? Yes. That's why when you hear his voice and you hear the truth, what are you not supposed to do? So you get a chance. You got a chance. And in this church we'll do everything in our power to help you. Especially those of you that come now. Do not allow your faith to grow cold. Do not allow evil to be put in your mind to damage your love for the truth. Do not allow bad relations to keep you back from going forward in the truth. Protect yourself. Protect yourself by the revealed truth of the plan of salvation. If you use the revealed truth of the plan of salvation to deal with every situation that comes to you, you will triumph. Those who resist will fall. You will triumph. You may be hated. You may be rejected. But once you use what is right, the faith of Jesus Christ, to deal with a situation, you will triumph. Amen. Is that understood? Because the just shall live by faith. So may God add his mercy to you with all that you have seen and prepare you for the end, which is swiftly coming. In Jesus' holy name. Amen. Please let us stand. And then there's a Apocalypse 46. Do not let 2018 what? End. And find yourself not walking in righteousness. Is that understood? If you need to do something to make yourself progress, if you need to pray to God, if you need to seek his face, do it. Do it before it is too late. We beseech you. So let us now bow our heads for our prayer as we pray. Thank you, loving Father, for what you have shown us. Thank you for the truth of the plan of salvation that you have shown us. Thank you for helping us to understand that now, in the little time of trouble, while the work of our salvation is closing, is the time we have to prepare, because there will be no preparation in the greater time of trouble, which is the 7 last days. Help us to take every use of this time to make our calling and selection sure, because the end is coming at the doors very swiftly. Thank you again, Father, and may your love be always in us, through Jesus Christ our Savior. in